He puts this program, stick this program in the top priority program of the agency.
No, sir, I do not. I think it is one of the top priority programs, but I think it's very important to recognize here that as you have found what you can do with the rocket, as you find out how you can get out beyond the Earth's atmosphere and into space and make measurements, several scientific disciplines that are very powerful have begun to converge on this area.
I think it is the top priority. We ought to have that very clear. Some of these other programs could slip 6 months or 9 months, and I think there's been an Africa kind of. But this is important for political reasons, international political reasons, and for it's years, whether we like it or not, it intends to raise, because second to the moon, it's not, but it's like being second at a time, so that and if they're second by 6 months, because they're giving Europe a kind of priority, then of course that would be very serious. So I think we have to take the view as in the top priority.
Number one, there are real unknowns as to whether man can live under the weightless condition and you elevate the lunar land. This is one kind of political vulnerability I'd like to avoid such a frank commitment to. I agree that we want to be interested in it, but we can wait 6 months. But you have to use that information today, you're saying.
Yeah, the only when that information directly applies to the program. We don't know a damn thing about the surface of the moon, and we're making the wildest guesses about how we're meant to land on the moon. And we could get a terrible disaster of putting something down on the surface of the moon that's very different than we think it is. And the scientific programs that provide us that information have to have highest priority, but they are associated with the lunar program. The scientific programs that aren't associated with the lunar program can have any priority we please to give them. Now, the other thing is, I would certainly not say we're spending $6 or $7 million to find out about space. Why are we spending $7 million to get from freshwater from saltwater when we're spending $7 million to find out about space?
But so obviously you wouldn't put it on that priority except for the defense implication. And second point is the fact that the Soviet Union has made this a task of the distance. So that's why we're doing it. So I think we got to take the view that this is the key program of the Renaissance Opera that we can find out about it. But there's a lot of things we want to find out about. But you see, we answered everything. Now you talk about this is very far to draw a line between what
everything that we do ought to really be tied into getting onto the moon and ahead of the Russians.
Why can't it be tied to preeminence in space when you're in
He could find guy, we've been telling everybody we're preeminent in space. He could find his, nobody believes it, because they say you have the booster and the satellite, but I should think we ought to get it there, really clear that the policy ought to be that this is the top priority program of the agency, and one of the two attempt to defend the top priority of the United States government. I think that's the position we ought to take. Now, this may not change anything about that schedule, but at least we ought to be clear. So otherwise, we shouldn't be spending this type of money because I'm not that interested in staying. I think it's good that we ought to know about it. We'll spend reasonable amount of money we're talking about. Fantastic expenditures, which wreck our budget, and all these other domestic programs. And the only justification part, in my opinion, to do it today is because I hope to beat them to demonstrate that starting behind every day for the couple of years. By God, we passed them.